As a passionate fan of Middle-earth, I've been eagerly anticipating the new wave of Lord of the Rings content that's finally on its way. For years, we've been yearning for fresh tales from that enchanting land, and it seems like our prayers have been answered. The future is looking bright for the Lord of the Rings, with numerous upcoming TV series and films based in Middle-earth now being developed. Ever since the original Lord of the Rings trilogy was released in 2001, the franchise's collection of movies and television shows has been growing through prequels and offshoots. The lasting impact of Peter Jackson's films ensures that rights owners are keen on producing additional content based on J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings novels, and fans are equally excited to engage with this new material. The outlook for the Lord of the Rings is promising, with numerous upcoming TV series and films based in Middle-earth now being developed. Ever since the initial The Lord of the Rings trilogy was released in 2001, the franchise's collection of movies and television shows has grown through prequels and offshoots. The lasting impact of Peter Jackson's films ensures that rights owners are keen on producing additional content based on J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings novels, and fans are equally excited to engage with this new material. By 2024, the only officially produced Middle-earth films and series consist of the animated adaptations of Lord of the Rings from the late 70s and early 80s, Peter Jackson's duophyllite, the trilogy on the Lord of the Rings, its sequel, the Hobbit trilogy, and Amazon's The Rings of Power. The scarcity of additional content is due in part to the division of rights to adapt Tolkien's works among multiple entities. However, both Warner Brothers and Amazon are actively developing Middle-earth projects, including prequels to The Lord of the Rings, as films and large-scale TV spin-offs. One of the most anticipated upcoming Middle-earth films is The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, announced by director Kenji Kamiyama in 2021. This animated movie, it was written by Phoebe Gittins and Artie Papageorgiou from a story conceived by Jeffrey Addis and Will Matthews, with Philippa Boyens serving as a story consultant. The Warham is considered a spiritual prequel to Peter Jackson's original trilogy and is set 183 years prior to The Two Towers, focusing on the legendary King of Rohan and Helm Hammerhand and his efforts to safeguard his kingdom against an invading army of Dunlendings. In 2026, Andy Serkis will take on dual roles as both director and actor in The Lord of the Rings, The Quest for Gollum, a new live-action film within the series. And since the conclusion of Peter Jackson's The Hobbit trilogy in 2014, this marks the first standalone Lord of the Rings movie. Notably, Jackson himself will serve as a producer on the project, along with fellow producers Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, who are also co-writing the script alongside Phoebe Gittins and Artie Papageorgiou from the Wards of the Rohirrim. Sources have announced that on Sunday revealed that production for this film will once again take place in New Zealand, where the franchise originally began. The upcoming film, titled The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, will revolve around Helm's efforts to safeguard his kingdom against an invading army of Dunlendings. Brian Cox, known for his role in Succession, will lend his voice to Hammerhand himself. The cast also includes Miranda Otto reprising her role as Eowyn, Diawise as Helm, his daughter Hera, and Pasquino playing the villainous Dunlending leader, Wolf. As a fervent fan of The Lord of the Rings, I've been eagerly awaiting Andy Serkis's upcoming film titled The Hunt for Gollum. Reminiscent of a 15-year-old fan film, this movie shares its name with an early work set near the onset of the Fellowship of the Ring. If the new movie adheres to its title, it will work involved by all except us. In The Scholar, it's sensed that within the same movie, that Worms and Genocide, The Time, and Sauron.
They mean that the card trail, implying that Sir Ian McKellen and Viggo Mortensen might reprise their iconic roles in The Pursuit.
Excitedly, I can't contain my enthusiasm as Andy Serkis's Gollum prequel is confirmed. This means more Lord of the Rings movies are on their way from Warner Brothers. Back in February 2023, New Line Cinema, who's been part of every Lord of the Rings production since 2001, including War of the Rohirrim and Rings of Power, has joined forces with Middle-earth Enterprises. Since then, they've been busy developing a fresh series of films based on J.R.R. Tolkien's books, which is nothing short of fantastic news. I saw some shorts because J.R.R. fellow movie lovers. And the upcoming film titled The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, marks the beginning of a fresh wave of cinematic stories set in Middle-earth. Initially, it was suggested that there would be multiple movies based on the original 2023 press release. However, the exact number of the Lord of the Rings films this implies is yet to be determined. Regardless, the Gollum-focused film will not be the last foray Warner Brothers makes into Middle-earth's rich world. Without a doubt, this is an exceptionally thrilling era for enthusiasts of the Lord of the Rings. Since 2014's release of The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, which marked a decade since its premiere, there hasn't been any new Lord of the Rings movies or TV shows. However, after nearly a decade without anything new in my sight, fans of Lord now have an abundance of upcoming films to anticipate, and it's likely that even more will be announced. And David Zaslav, CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, shared insights about the company's strategies for their existing properties. Among these, The Lord of the Rings is highlighted as an intellectual property that the studio feels is not yet fully exploited, and they had ambitious plans to further develop. He revealed that the studio had a strategy for numerous Lord of the Rings films, and indeed, this led to the unveiling of projects like The Hunt for Gollum. Considering that in the same address, he talked about a 10-year plan for DC Comics adaptations and Harry Potter, it seems certain that there will be plenty more Lord of the Rings content to anticipate over the coming decade, and a stark contrast to the past decade since The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, was released. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, keep an eye out for the latest in Middle-earth's cinematic saga.